Good morning. Happy Friday. Gosh, can you believe another week has gone by? And what a week it's been. We had the Fed action. They did a surprise 50 basis points cut, but they gave not as exciting, future guidance. The market's been up. The market's been down. Purchases are down. Refis are up. Everything's happening. All in all, I think the market's getting better. All in all, it's better. It's getting better to be a loan officer or a real estate agent. Today, I want to talk about clear cooperation. And I'm going to use a couple articles. First, I'm going to use this one. Clear cooperation takes center stage, faces pressure to change. This is an Inman article. I put a link to it in my show notes, and I did a LinkedIn post on this morning. And here's what clear cooperation is, in case you're not familiar with it. Is what it is. It's essentially the NAR rules prohibiting pocket listings. And so what the rule is, a real estate agent or realtor must put the property on an MLS within 24 hours of marketing the property. And that's what the rule is. And this rule was passed a few years ago, and it was passed with a lot of support, but it's been controversial. Some agents really think that it's against their client's best interest, and we're going to talk about it, to put on the MLS, and we're going to talk the pros and cons. But so clear cooperation. Now, the reason why we're talking about it today is because at the NAR meetings in Chicago this week, they're going to be discussing the clear cooperation rules to see if they should repeal it or change it. And so the article that I just showed you does a really good job of giving the pros and cons, like why people want it, why people don't want it. And so let's talk about it a little bit. The argument, okay, so that's what it is. It's about pocket listings. Now understand, agents, constantly ignore this rule. They just completely ignore this rule. And some people say there's more pocket listings now than in history. So it's not like all agents adhere to this rule. But here's the thing I want to do. Let's bring in a little bit of conflict. So the CEO of Compass, Refkin, makes a strong argument why clear cooperation is not good, and he says it violates the code of ethics. All right? And in this lengthy editorial that he had also in Inman, this was printed today, he lists all the reasons why clear cooperation is wrong. And essentially, and he lists like 15 examples. He goes, here's the ethical rule we have to follow, and here's how clear cooperation violates it. But in every instance, he's talking about where the seller is highly motivated to have a private sale. And he lists all the reasons why. He lists, and if you read the article, you can list it time and time again. Why, for example, here's reasons why you want on a private listing. A family member is seriously ill, and the family wishes to maintain the privacy to avoid additional stress. A couple is going through a divorce and prefers to avoid public attention until their affairs are settled. An individual is moving for a confidential job opportunity. The property is undergoing recommended improvements, and the owner wants feedback on how the improvements may impact the sales price before showcasing it to a potential buyer. Sellers want to test the asking price privately without accumulating unnecessary days on the market. And he goes on, and there's on and on. He probably gives 20 reasons why a seller would want a private sale. You know what? I totally support that. If the seller wants a private sale, if the seller is requesting a private sale, then that's what the agent should deliver. And if the clear cooperation rules prohibit that, then it needs to change. They need to change these rules so the seller is best served. So I totally agree. I totally agree with Robert on this. Except, call me a little bit cynical. My experience out in the market is most pocket listings aren't because the seller wants a private sale. It's because the agent is hoping to double in the transaction. That's the truth. I mean, think, whether you're a real estate agent or you're a loan officer, every time you've seen a pocket listing, it's because the agent has a hot property and they think that they can get both sides. It's in the real estate agent's best interest. Now, let's talk about best interest. Do you think it's in the best interest for Compass to get rid of clear cooperation or not? Right? Because Although Robert, the CEO, argues, oh, we need to do this for the best interest of our clients. And then he makes a whole bunch of questionable arguments. And then he says, look, the whole premise that a property sells more, that gets more market exposure, and here's the general rule, right? The more exposure a property gets, the higher it sells for. The more people, interested parties that get to see the property, the higher the price. And he goes, essentially, that's nonsense. I don't know why he thinks that. And then he uses two completely odd arguments. He goes, if that's the case, if market exposure equals price, why doesn't everybody sell their goods on Amazon? Huh? What? Huh? What are you talking about? And he says, by the way, if market exposure is what drove the prices of houses, how come builders don't list all their houses on the MLS? Right? Because most builders don't list their house on the MLS unless they have a problem selling the property. As soon as they have a problem selling the property, as soon as there's not massive interest, what do? They get more market exposure, right? The reason why builders don't list their properties on MLS is because they don't want to pay realtor commissions. That's why. That's why they don't do it, right? Really simple. It's a good incentive for them, right? But when the market slows down, what is the first thing they do? They go to the MLS, they list their properties. So I don't understand his two arguments, and I do not agree with the argument that fewer ready and willing and able buyers that see my property means I get a higher price on that property. I don't agree with that. I don't understand the logic. I don't know what financial economic principle we're following. Market exposure and interest equals higher price, period. So in the absence of the seller saying, I want a private sale for all the legitimate reasons that Robert listed in his article, they're all super legitimate, right? And the seller should have the right for a private sale. But I'm taking issue with Robert on this. That's not the motivation of most agents who I see with pocket listings, right? It's simply not. They're trying to get more commission. Now, the thing that I would urge our realtor friends, as I urge our loan officers. The other day when I did my live, I did it on EPOs. I go, do what's best for your client, not what's best for you. If what's best for your client is doing the refinance early, do it. Help your client. Always put your clients first. Do the 30-year plan. How am I going to serve this client for 30 years, right? Not the one transaction plan. Well, I would tell my friends, our realtors, same thing. Do what's right by your client. How do they get the highest price for their home? Don't pocket list it. And by the way, I'd love for somebody to explain how you can meet your fiduciary responsibilities to two parties in the same transaction. I still don't understand that. And by the way, as you read different content, that one of the next hurdles that agents are going to face, realtors are going to face, is are they really meeting their duty of obligation and the fiduciary rules? Because attorneys don't think so, and attorneys now are going with the pitchforks after agents. Now, I think agents do a great job, and I think they're worth every penny they get paid. But man, just always do the right thing. Don't do a pocket listing so that you can earn a double commission. Do what's right for the customer, right? Now, if the seller wants a private sale, NAR should allow it. I totally get that. I totally agree. I'm a little cynical that every agent just thinks, oh, it's best for my seller. Now, let's put this into perspective. Why is this becoming a bigger issue? Well, as buyers agents fight to show their value, one of their unique value propositions might be, I have access to off-market listings, right? If you hire me as a buyer's agent, I'm going to get you exposure to far more properties because I have a whole bunch of off-market properties, right? And so now there's an incentive, more of an incentive for agents to have pocket listings, because now that makes them that much more valuable to the buyer. Doesn't make them more valuable to the seller, doesn't necessarily get the highest price in the market, but it certainly serves their best interest. But that's why it's becoming a big issue. And I don't blame agents that way. If I'm trying to fight to show what my value is, and that's one of my value props, I get it. I want as many pocket listings as possible. Makes sense. And then let's look at Robert Rifkin's his motivation. In the first article I showed you in the Clear Cooperation Center Stage, the author, and by the way, it's an excellent article. It gives both sides of the picture. It's not biased. It was a really good article. But the author interviews a bunch of market participants and market experts, And what's really interesting, what caught my eye when I was reading this, as a matter of fact, I'll actually pull it up really quick, so sorry about that. What caught my eye when I was reading this is at the end of the article, he's getting feedback from, let me get the guy's name, so just hang on 1 second. He's getting feedback from Brian Boero, Boero, who's the CEO of a real estate branding and strategy company, 1000 Watt. I'm not familiar with that company, but so Brian says the most interesting thing. And he goes, he goes, clear cooperation helps some brokerages and it hurts other brokerages. And I'm going to read exactly what he said here. He goes, a brokerage like Compass has concentrated market share in several key areas, he argued. Keeping more listings private will create more in-house deals for them. Other big brokerages, especially those that are virtual, like EXP, have broad market share. Lots of agents spread relatively thin. In-house networks aren't as powerful for them, and they are therefore more likely to support leaving clear cooperation in place. So what do you think has happened? The CEO of Compass has been very outspoken, going, get rid of clear cooperation, because I have an advantage. The way we set up our business is that we have market penetration in the markets we're in. We control inventory. I'd much rather keep that inventory for the benefits of my agents. I mean, that's what he's saying, but that's the truth, right? Where, of course, the CEO of EXP is going, clear cooperation is clearly in the best interest of the seller. And the reason why is because they don't have the same depth, the same market depth, and can't control the listings, right? They need access to listings. And so, not surprisingly, EXP is for keeping clear cooperation, as is Zillow, right? And companies like Compass are like, no, look, we have a clear advantage if you get rid of it. For me, the only thing that matters is what's the best interest for the seller, right? What's the best interest for the seller? And real estate agents, do the right thing. Always serve the people. Your seller. I don't know how you can best serve both the buyer and seller in a transaction. Maybe you can, but I would urge you to do the right thing. Now, all that being said, I want to say conflicted, but I could be wrong about this. I have an opinion. I have a strong opinion, but you might think I'm wrong, and you may have a good counter argument, and I'd love to hear it, because I am not 100% anchored in my opinion. It's just my belief, right? And there are people on both sides that are really, really bright folks and who I respect. I've talked to several people on this topic. Many of them disagree with me, and and their arguments are valid. So if you'd like to put in your 2 cents, throw in comments. Tell me where I'm right. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me what you believe. Tell me what I'm missing, which I could totally be missing something. But it's a tricky thing. I definitely am for allowing private listings when the seller requests it, for all the reasons Robert lists, but I'm very much against pocket listings for the benefit of the real estate agent. And so I think that needs to be prohibitive, and I think that NAR needs to police that, because if NAR can't figure out how to police itself, it's going to open the door for the government to police it. Now, that being said, there's quite a few references, especially in the first article, about how the DOJ is looking into clear cooperation, and it doesn't say looking into it as trying to discontinue it or looking into it to try to verify it. Like, I don't know what the DOJ stance is. I can't imagine why they'd be against, listing your property on the MLS. I don't know, but anyway, there you go. That's my topic of the day. Let me know what you think. Share your opinions. Help me understand what I'm missing if I'm missing something. That's it, everybody. I hope you have a great day. I have a fun topic tomorrow morning, by the way. I have a fun topic. It won't be, if this is serious, it won't be as serious as this. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great Friday. Thanks. Bye.